Welcome back. Today we're going to be working on 9.2 day 1 notes, which is function notation. First off, we'll start talking about function notation. Write it as parentheses. We say that f of x, we don't say f parentheses x. When we see this, we just say f of x. Okay? Remember, if I'm using function notation, that means my relation already passes the vertical line. So I can jump right into and say it's a function when I use function notation. For example, we have a couple of different types of functions. If I have f of x, say, equals 2x minus 4, if we were to graph this, it would be a line. So it's very linear. I also can use g of x. I could use any letter I want in the beginning. It's just generally always used with x. If we have another function, say x minus 1 squared plus 3, we just came up with that unit. It's a quadratic function. And again, I also can again use h of x. Let's say is like 3 raised to the x. So if the x is in the exponent, so it's going to be an exponential function. What we're going to be doing is what we're going to evaluate the function for the given domain value. Now, if you remember from the previous video, the domain of the x. So here's my function. F of x equals 1/3 x squared plus 11. Zoom in just a little. So it's a quadratic function. Find the value of f of negative 6. You notice, look, here's what x is. I'm replacing it with negative 6. So f negative 6, yes, we write this, is equal to 1/3. Now I'm just going to substitute negative 6 every time I see f. Oops, sorry. But negative 6 squared plus 11. Put that whole thing in your calculator. F of negative 6 is equal to positive 20. All right, let's move on to number 2. If g of x is equal to negative 12 plus 3x, find the value of g of 2. So again, x gets replaced with 2. To find g of 2, I'm going to replace x with 2. So negative 12 plus 3 times 2. Put that whole thing in your calculator, you get negative 6. All right, let's move on to 3. If h of x is equal to 1/4 raised to the x, find the value of h of negative 3. So again, x gets replaced with negative 3, and this is an exponential function because the exponent is in the x. Where h of negative 3 is equal to 1/4 raised to the negative 3. Now, if you're not sure you don't know how to put that in your calculator, I'll show you right now. I'm going to do parentheses, 1 divided by 4 parentheses. And see this caret right here, the arrow? That means an exponent. Here it's negative 3, okay, which equals 64. Okay, let's move on to 4. If f of x is equal to negative 1 minus 5x plus 7x squared, find the value of x of 0. Again, placing x with 0. And f of x in this case is the quadratic function because the biggest exponent is a 2. F of 0 equals negative 1 minus 5 times 0 plus 7 times 0 squared. Put that whole thing in your calculator to negative 6. Now I can actually evaluate domain values when I'm just given the graph. So let's find the value of f of negative 1. This is my function. Negative 1 is the x value. Come over here, I go over to negative 1 x-axis, and you're either moving up or down to get your function. I have to move up 1, so f of negative 1 is equal to 1. go ahead and move to 6. I'm finding g of 3. This is my g of x function right here. Remember, 3 is my x value. So I come over here. 1, 2, 3. I see I don't need to move at all because I'm already on my function. So I can move it all. G of 3 is equal to 0. Right, 7. Find the value of h of 0. Again, 0 is my x value. I'll go ahead and find h of 0. Well, I don't go any left or right at all. I'm at 0, and I have to go up 1 to the top. So h of 0 is 1. Go ahead and pause the video and complete 8, 9, and 10. F of negative 2 is equal to 1. G of 1 is equal to negative 1. And lastly, h of negative 3, so 1, 2, 3, I go 1, 2, 3. Since I'm going down, it's again, it's negative 3. All right, next side. We also can do operations with functions. Under operations, we're going to be working with adding, subtracting, and multiplication. So here, I'm going to give you 3 different functions. F of x, g of x, and h of x. So for adding, what we do, I have f of x plus g of x. So, and yes, it needs to go in the order. So first I'm going to put f of x, which is this. You're not going to put the actual f of x. You're just going to start by writing 8 minus 2x plus 3x squared. Now you're going to add it to g of x, which is plus x squared minus 7x plus 1. Now to find what all of that simplifies to, just find like terms. I have 3x squared plus x squared, negative 2x minus 7x, and then finally I have 8 plus 1. Combine the standard form, meaning you're going to combine the yellow first. So I have 4x squared plus 3x squared plus 1x squared plus 4x squared. Negative 2x minus 7x is negative 9x, and then 8 plus 1 is 9. All right, let's go ahead and move on to B. What I want you to do is pause the video and complete now g of x plus h of x. So again, I'm going to be, g is going to come first, and then I'm going to write h of x and combine like this. All right, part B, g of x plus h of x ends up being x squared minus 12x plus 10. All right, now we're going to move on to subtraction. Subtraction is just a little bit different. I'm going to place this. So again, I'm going to start with f of x, like 8 minus 2x plus 3x squared. Minus, now I have to subtract the entire g of x. When I subtract the entire g of x, I have these parentheses. It ends up being x squared minus 7x 1 in parentheses, so I have to subtract the entire function. Well, if you remember from last chapter, remember this is a negative 1. This switches distributes. Now, when you multiply by a negative 1, the only thing that changes is every sign becomes opposite. So this x squared becomes negative x squared. This negative 7x becomes positive 7x. This negative positive 1 becomes negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and drop down everything else. Now, you can demonstrate this step. Just make sure you're thus making all of this second function. So in this case, there's g of x opposite sign. All right, from here, let's combine like terms. I have 3x squared minus x squared. I have negative 2x plus 7x. I have 8. Oops, I should change this. 8 minus 1. 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. Negative 2x plus 7x, positive 5x. And 8 minus 1 is 7. right, please go ahead and pause the video and complete part D. All right, part D ends up simplifying to negative 2x squared minus 5x minus 7. All right, let's go ahead and move on to multiplication. Now, part D, even though it looks similar to what we did on the front, it's actually completely different. Look, when we're substituting, let me write this up here, when we're substituting, like we did on the front, I would write h of negative 6. When the number was on the inside, I'm substituting. Notice the difference? Negative 6 on the outside. Negative 6, now I'm just going to put h of x. And x plus 9. Do you know how to simplify this? Hopefully you're saying distributing is correct. So this becomes positive 3x minus 54. So remember, if the number is on the inside, we substitute inside. If it's on the outside, we distribute. All right, and lastly, let's go ahead and do E. So I'm going to put h of x, but since h of x is more than 1 term, I'm going to put it in parentheses of negative 5x plus 9 times 2 of x, which is squared minus 7x plus 1. Put them always in parentheses. If you recognize, you should know how to do this. Remember, double distribute. So I have negative 5x times x squared is negative 5x cubed. Negative 5x times negative 7x is positive 35x squared. And I have negative 5x times 1 is negative 5x. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 1. So I have a 9. 9 times x squared is positive 9 squared. 9 times negative 7 is negative 63. And 9 times 1 is positive 9. So I start to combine like this. 35x squared, 9x squared, I have negative 5x, negative 63x. Drop down the negative 5x cubed. Combine the blues, it ends up being 34x squared. Combine the pinks, it's negative 68x. Drop down the positive 9. The biggest mistake with these problems are you forget the parentheses. If you don't write the parentheses, you're not going to end up double distributing. All right, let's finish up with 11 and 12. And then you can go ahead and start your homework. So now I'm using different functions. So take note that f of x is 2x squared minus x plus 8. And then h of x is 3x squared minus 10. So here, since h of x comes first, I'm going to write h of x. 3x squared minus 10. Minus, because I'm subtracting the entire function in parentheses. So 2x squared minus x plus 8. Again, if you recognize this is a negative 1, but when I distribute it, the only thing that changes is all the signs become opposite. So instead of 2x squared, I have negative 2x. Instead of negative x, I have positive x. Instead of positive 8, I have negative 8. Drop down everything else after. You don't need to drop down the negative 1 because I've already distributed it. Now here, combine. I'm going to have negative 10 and negative 8. So 3x squared minus 2x squared is 1x squared, but we don't write the 1, we're just going to write the x squared. Drop down the x, and then negative 10 minus 8 is negative 8. Alright, last question, and then we can start our homework. Alright, so h left, again, you are going to put this in parentheses. Times f of x, parentheses, 2x squared times x plus 8. We do not put the multiplication symbol on there because when two parentheses are next to each other, we know that means to distribute. So here, we're going to distribute starting with the 3x squared. 3x squared times 2x squared is 6x to the fourth. Remember, we add the exponents. 3x squared times negative x is negative 3x. Again, cubed, we add the exponents. 3x squared times 8 is positive 24x squared. Now we'll go ahead and distribute the negative 10. Negative 10 times 2x squared is negative 20x squared. Negative 10 times negative x is positive 10x. Also, negative 10 times positive 8 is negative 80. Go ahead and combine those terms. I have 24x squared minus 20x squared. And that looks about it. I'm going to drop down the 6x to the 4th. Drop down the 3x cubed. Combine 24 minus 20, so it's positive 4x squared. Drop down the 10x, drop down the negative 8. Alright, please go ahead and stop the video to complete the homework.